I don't seem to get much in the way of air distribution from these foot vents. It's March and it's cold at the moment, and I would like some heat coming to the footwell. I understand you have to remove this panel and then you can get to the actuator. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 screws which needed removing on my car. That then gives me access to this vacuum operated actuator mechanism. And it should be opening and closing this. All I've done is taken this pipe off, attached another pipe here, and I'm sucking. I'm getting no response, and I guess a replacement is the only option. The 2 nut and bolts, one there, are 5/16, and this one here that holds the rod, a 1/4 inch. And with the 1/4 inch undone, it just pulls out. Given that this is just a canister that holds this rubber bellows, I thought maybe I'd open it, undoing that lip. Having sliced in all the way round, then getting a screwdriver under, I was able to lever so that it starts to come away. I levered that a bit too far and it just snapped off. So you only want to lever it a little bit, I think. Having opened it up, and you can see it's not a very clever job. It didn't bend as well as I hoped. This is what it looks like on the inside, which wasn't what I was expecting. I think there's the split. Closer inspection, it has both a split there, and it also has another hole just there. So I've just used a bicycle repair kit, and I've sealed the split, the big one, and that little hole there. But of course this whole thing relies upon a seal being formed here, and then with this on top. And without that seal, that won't work. So I think I'm actually going to put some Aqua Diving Black Witch. It's just a neoprene rubber cement you can use. So I'm going to coat this and coat that side, and then put it all back together. So with the sealant in place on here and here, I'm now just going to put it all back together. So there it goes. First time round I used these mole grips and then rolled it into place by just putting pressure on it and twisting it. And now I'm going to finish it off by squeezing it in the vise. So there's an area here where it's broken off, but hopefully the Black Witch will do the job and hold it all in place. I could also have used the black silicone and sealant stroke adhesive that I'd been using on the exhaust manifold gasket. I have sucked on it, it does work at the moment. Dave Pierce from Oily Rag Classics suggested that I exchange that vacuum actuator for one that's in the engine bay. So from the top here, you can just see that actuator with the tube coming out of the top. That actuator operates part of the air conditioning system, which David referred to and explained. It doesn't do a lot in my car simply because I don't have a functioning air conditioning system. I'm going to test that, and if it works, I'm going to remove it, replacing the non-functioning one. I've made sure the lever that it's connected to is free, so that's fine. And I've connected an external tube on top, which I'm going to suck. Unfortunately, when I suck, there's no response. And same when I blow, you can hear air coming out. That doesn't work, so there's no point in me taking it off. I would imagine if there's a hole in any of these vacuum actuators, so it draws air in, then that's going to affect the effectiveness of the vacuum operating system for the heating, including the one that actuates the heater water valve. I know mine works, I've checked it. This tube was connected to that leaking vacuum actuator, so what I'm going to do is put a screw in there. That screw should now stop it drawing unwanted air into the rest of the system. I've let it dry for a couple of days. I guess though, even if it had a slight leak, providing the engine's on and providing vacuum, it would cope with a slight leak. The wire is bent, and that would look to have a purpose, because putting it in this way, it seems to foul. But turning it round, it's a much smoother fit. Which is the way it came out, I expect. Because of the spring inside that unit, it defaults to this position, which is a good thing because that is with the flap in such a position that the air's directed to the windscreen. In my car, where that little nipple is, that's the actual setting. It's as far clockwise as I can get it. I think it should really be on defrost, but mine seems to go a bit further. On defrost, then the setting is allowing hot air to come up here. If I move it from the defrost position, and you can see the line there, if I move it to hot, then it's moved down to there. That's the furthest it will go to the right, defrost, and the air is going up to the windscreen. And then when I move it to the hot position, it's now pulled down and the air is now blowing out of here. If I turn that knob, and it makes no difference whether I have it on the second blower control, just one, or on RAM, or off. So the fan position makes no difference to this vacuum control. If I turn the control now from hot to warm, I'm not quite sure why it's doing that. So that position there is warm. So that's hot, that's warm. Then if I turn it further over to cold, that's as far anti-clockwise as I can get the control. I'm not getting any other movement on there. The reality though is, even with that set here, so that I'm now getting air blowing out of here, I am still getting air, significant amount, coming out on the windscreen. The reality of the situation is, only in defrost does it come right up, and then all the air goes on the windscreen. It appears that in all positions except defrost, air is both coming out of the foot vents now and the dash vents. Only in the defrost position does hot air come out or cold air come out, only against the windscreen. Switch the engine off, so there's no longer any engine created vacuum, and I guess over time that vacuum will dissipate and that lever will go back up there. There's still some possibility to use that without the engine on, because there is a vacuum reservoir in the right hand tube. That's defrost. And that's hot, but I still get this funny little movement there. I think I now know why there's that little wobble in the vacuum actuator mechanism. This unit here not only controls the flap location, but also controls the heater valve. And when moving from the cold air side across to warm air, it, by vacuum, opens the heater valve to allow hot water round the heat exchanger. So I think all that's happening is, when I go from this side, cold, across the green sector, you can feel an indent there, over to warm, then vacuum is also passed to the heater control. When it does that, then this here shows a fluctuation, simply because vacuum is now also being passed to the heater control. Well, particularly this one here, it's tight. The full position there, it's gone past defrost to cold. It might just be positioning of that indicator there. With this control, you just press against the spring that's in there, and that releases the knob, which you can take off. Then you've got that circular indicator and quite simply a spring. Because mine was felt tight, I've just added some oil and I've tightened up this nut. There's some flats on this bit here to hold the switch in place, and then you can tighten the nut. I can't remember what sizes I used. And then this goes back together like this. When for me it had gone past the indicator defrost to cold, was just simply rotate that a little bit further that way. So on the full clockwise position, it was still indicating defrost. And you can see you've got this little piece of felt. Looking at this knob, and I've just reinstated the white line there. Originally I thought that this felt was supposed to go on the inside of that hole. But when I came to remove what I thought was just some accumulated gunk, it turned out to be more like glue. So I think all that's happened over the years is this felt washer has been worn away and should actually extend right over to the outside part of this and would rest on that clear area there. But over the years, because of the spring action, it's just worn away the felt, so the felt now forms a lump that goes inside. So I'm going to reinstate that felt. I'm not going to show me putting felt on and putting the knob back together, but that's quite simply, I think, how it works.